So our URLs are actually pretty ugly. They're not really that great, right? So if we look back in our product, it says featured for. Well, I don't want that. I mean, that's not great SEO. It's also not great for users. So if I shared this link to you, you would have no idea what it is, right? So we want to make it a little bit more user-friendly by introducing the slug field. And a slug field basically is, well, it's a short label, essentially. So it's like taking a title and making it more user-friendly. So to do this, we are going to go ahead and first off add in our slug field into our product. So I'm going to put it right below title, and we'll say slug equals to models.slugField. And I'm going to go ahead and just say blank equals to true and null equals to true because, well, actually, scratch that. We want a default here. So I'll do default equals to ABC. Okay, so that is going to be the default we'll set when we run the migrations. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to run python manage.py, make migrations, and we're going to set off a default. So provide a one-off default now by pressing 1, and we're going to call it ABC, and then we'll do python manage.py migrate. I will say that I'm going to allow this to be blank equals to true, so I made some changes. Again, make migrations, migrate. We'll talk about why that's going to be blank in a little bit. But now we've got a slug field. So we've got our, let's go ahead and make sure our server is running. So python manage.py, run server. We've got our server running. We go into our product, and what do you know? We've got ABC. If we go back into our products, we have them all listed out. So I'm actually going to do a little thing with admin to make it look a little bit better. We'll say class product admin, and it's admin.modeladmin. And we'll just say list display equals to the str method and slug. And then we'll do class meta model equals to product. Again, we're going to cover the admin a lot more in detail later. So please hold your questions on these. But essentially, we want to show these things as display items. So now we can see our slug here. Okay, so we have 3 things with the exact same slug. Now, this is going to be our new lookup. Instead of our ID, we want it to be the slug. So without first running into errors, let's just change our first one to supercomputer. Okay, so now what I want to do is be able to go to products/supercomputer, just like that. That's what I actually want to see. So that means we need to update our URLs to handle a slug field. Luckily, we have a common regular URL expressions guide that will show you how to do this. You just scroll down a little bit and you'll see slug right there. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to go back into our URLs here. And underneath our product detail view, I'm going to make our slug view. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, paste under here, and cut this one in, paste in here. Cool. Now I'm going to change this to being product detail slug view so we can keep the old one, just at least for reference for you later. So since I created a new one or arbitrarily created a new one, I'm going to have to create one here. So I'm going to scroll down to the product detail view and we'll say class product detail slug view, takes in the detail, and we'll do the query set being all. There you go. Okay, so we now have our product detail view, and inside of our URLs, I'm actually going to comment out our PK view, right? Our original detail view. I'm going to comment that one out. So now if I refresh in here, what do you know? We've got supercomputer. If I go to ABC though, ooh, I get another exception. So multiple objects returned. It returned more than 1. It returned 2. This gives us a great opportunity to handle this. It's actually not a whole lot different than we've seen before. So let's go ahead and get this object here, just like we've seen before. And this time I'll do get object keyword arg is slug because this is called slug. If it was something different, it would be that something different. So we've got our slug here. Again, I'm going to go back to doing get object or 404 of the product and slug equals to slug. I also want to probably do active equals to true, although I don't necessarily know if that is needed with this query set. It might be, it might not be. It's worth testing. Take that off. There we go. We now have a way to do that. I refresh. Still giving us the same error. Well, of course it is, because I'm still doing the get call. So let's go ahead and do the try block. I'm just going to show you those few ways on how to handle it so you know. And we'll say instance equals to product.objects.get slug equals to slug, active equals to true. And then we'll do except. And, well, the exception, the first one would be product.does not exist. And then in that case, we'll say raise HTTP 404 not found, right? And then another exception, a new one that we just saw, is multiple objects returned. And here we can do a few things. But what I'm going to say is I'm going to do query set equals to product.objects.filter slug equals to slug, active equals to true. And QS, or sorry, that should be QS instead of query set. That just makes it a little easier on us. If QS, we'll just do return QS.first. Or instance, rather. Instance equals to QS.first. And the final exception would be raise, we'll just say HTTP4. Okay, so we refresh, and what do you know? It brings back the t-shirt. But now we will literally never see the hat. So this is where we want to make sure that when we create anything, that our slugs are unique. So one way to do that is to add a field on here called, or an attribute on here called unique. So unique equals to true. So before I save that and make those changes, I'm going to change my hat to being hat. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my migrations. Let's exit out of the Python shell. So we'll save everything. Python manage.py, make migrations, and then Python manage.py migrate. So that's a good validation. So if I go to t-shirt and say hat, it's going to say, nope, can't do it. Okay, so I'm going to change it back to ABC. And now what I'm going to do is actually create a signal that when this is saved, or right before it's saved, it's going to generate a slug for me. Now, we've already created the method on how to do it, so you don't have to. It just makes things a lot easier for us. So here's that slug generator there. And we also want to get our unique string generator. So two things that are on here. And the unique slug, this is not the shortcut for it, but this right here will be. One second. There's the shortcut that will bring you right here. It's on our blog, so you can just grab it. You're going to want to grab this code, but we're going to put it into a utility file or utility method here. So we'll say utils.py. That's where we're bringing it. And I'm just going to copy and paste all of this stuff in there. And then I'm going to get that random string generator, which is linked on that other one. I can go ahead and just grab this here, or you can just do a quick search and paste that in there. And just kind of reorganize things a bit. And we'll delete that. Okay, so now we have ability to make our unique slug. All right, we can actually create unique slugs from this. So that means that it's going to take in an instance, and based off of that instance, it's going to look to see if there's any other slugs with that same name, file, whatever. And then it's going to definitely generate a new slug for you that is 100% unique. So let's go ahead and bring this one into our models. We'll go from .utils, import unique slug generator. But how do we actually call that, right? So like I want it to happen before the model is saved. Now you do this by using something called a signal. So we'll do from django.db.models.signals import pre-save. You can also do post-save, but we're not going to cover those just yet. So pre-save means that right before this actually is saved into the database, it's going to do something. So that's something that it's going to do. We have to create a method to handle that. So we'll say product pre-save receiver, and it's going to take in sender, instance, args, and keyword args. So I'll basically just say if not instance.slug, then we'll do instance.slug equals to, well, let's leave it as ABC for a second. And we'll now wrap in the actual ability for the sender. So we'll do presave.connect, and this is going to take in the actual receiver function here, and then the sender being the model itself. So like, I realize I've like just blown through these things and it went really fast. Signals are really a whole thing that we want to cover in its own section, but this is a nice way to kind of introduce you to them so it hopefully sparks your interest in them, not really for full comprehension of everything that's going on here. But we will say that this will actually work. So it's going to change every instance slug that doesn't have a slug to being ABC. For example, let's go into hat, or let's go into t-shirt. I'm going to get rid of it. There's nothing on there. I'll hit save and continue. It goes back to ABC. If I save it with anything different, it won't go into anything different. So instead of doing ABC, of course, I want to use that unique slug generator that was already created for us. And we just go ahead and grab it and do instance in there. Refresh in here. Make that empty. I hit save and continue. Whoo, t-shirt. Cool. Now if I make another t-shirt, we'll say t-shirt again. Another one. And we'll hit save and continue. There we go. We have now some unique slugs here. We have got that first one, t-shirt. Second one, they are different. And we can actually go to them. So t-shirt. There we go. So it's actually showing us that lookup. And that's some of the basics of having a slug field, as well as using signals to set that slug field. There's definitely other ways to go about doing this, but this is the way that I've found to be the most effective way to set your slug field regardless. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.